I'm a 37-year-old guy, married for 10 years, 2 kids, stable job, normal life, or at least I thought it was. I work as a cleaner at a local shopping center. Long shifts, early mornings, not glamorous, but it pays the bills. My wife, let's call her Sarah, works in marketing. She's always seemed put together, kind, funny, the kind of person people just like. Our life, by most standards, was comfortable. We argued sometimes, sure, but nothing major. I trusted her completely. We had routines, dinners together, weekends at the park with the kids, holidays with our families. I knew her favorite coffee order, the way she laughed at my dumb jokes, even her little quirks that used to annoy me but now felt comforting. I honestly believed we had a solid marriage. Work is monotonous but quiet, and it's the kind of job where I can think and observe without being noticed. Sometimes I catch couples fighting, teenagers being dramatic, people at their worst. It makes me reflective. I think about my own life a lot, my marriage, my kids, what I'm doing right or wrong, but mostly I've been content. I've never been the jealous type. I trusted Sarah blindly. I believed in the foundation we built, the small everyday things that prove love is real. I thought the worst that could happen was boredom, or a midlife crisis somewhere down the line. I was naive. I didn't realize that sometimes betrayal doesn't come from the shadows, it comes from the person you let hold your heart. I guess things started subtly. I didn't notice it at first, or maybe I didn't want to. Sarah started spending more late nights at the office. Or so she said. Phone calls she answered in the other room, messages she'd delete quickly. I brushed it off. Everyone needs privacy, right? I told myself I wasn't controlling. There were small moments that, looking back, screamed at me. She'd get defensive when I asked simple questions, or she'd disappear for hours with meetings. I noticed her texting more, laughing at her phone in ways she never had before. And I believed the excuses, stress, new projects, friends from work. I wanted to believe. I clung to the life we had. We had this ritual of Saturday mornings, coffee, pancakes, playing with the kids. She started skipping it sometimes. Or she'd be tired or caught up at work. It was hurtful, but I thought maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was being paranoid. Emotionally, I felt distant but blamed myself. Maybe I was boring, maybe I didn't make her feel special. I tried small gestures, notes, flowers, being more attentive. She smiled, thanked me, but sometimes the smiles felt fleeting, distracted, almost guilty. I ignored it. I convinced myself love survives challenges, that trust is stronger than suspicion. I didn't notice the red flags piling up like a silent storm ready to hit. I thought our marriage was untouchable. The first moment I truly felt something was wrong wasn't dramatic, it was almost mundane. I was finishing my cleaning shift at the shopping center, vacuuming near the food court, when I saw her. Sarah. Kissing some guy. I froze mid-sweep. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. She turned her head, smiled at him, like she thought nobody could see. My stomach dropped. I stood there, heart hammering, trying to make sense of what I was witnessing. I wanted to look away, to tell myself it wasn't real. But it was. Clear as day. The guy's hand on her back, her lips pressed against his. I didn't know him, didn't want to, but I'd burned the image into my memory anyway. I left the center quickly, my mind racing. I didn't call her, didn't text. I went home, pretending nothing had happened. I sat on the couch, staring at the wall, trying to convince myself it was a misunderstanding. Maybe they were joking, or it was a quick peck, something meaningless. But the guilt, the shame, the fear, it was all mine. My life, my marriage, the family I'd worked so hard to build, suddenly felt like it could vanish in a heartbeat. Sleep that night was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together. My chest hurt. I couldn't eat. And yet part of me still wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe confronting her would ruin everything if it was nothing. Maybe I was overreacting. I couldn't ignore it forever. A few days later, I followed the breadcrumb trail my instincts had laid. Her phone, left unattended for a moment, betrayed her completely. Texts filled with flirty emojis. "Can't wait to see you tonight," and things worse than I could have imagined. I read the words over and over, each one a knife twisting deeper. That night, I confronted her at home. My voice shook more than I wanted it to. "Sarah, who is he?" She froze, then laughed nervously. I don't know what you mean." I slammed the phone on the counter. "Don't lie to me. I saw you kissing him at the mall. I've read the texts." Her face went pale. She looked away, then back at me, tears brimming. I didn't mean for you to find out like this," she whispered. "It just happened. I didn't plan it. I didn't think." I couldn't process it. I couldn't breathe. My kids were asleep in the other room, oblivious to the collapse of the world around them. "How long?" I asked, my voice low, deadly. 3 months, she admitted. 3 months of betrayal, while I was working, providing, believing in us. 3 months I didn't even see coming. The room spun. I wanted to scream, to cry, to disappear. I wanted to believe it was a nightmare, but the words hung heavy in the air. I couldn't move. I sat on the kitchen floor, hands shaking, staring at the tiles like they held the answers. Anger, heartbreak, disbelief, they hit me in waves. My throat ached from wanting to scream but finding no sound. I kept picturing them at the mall, laughing, touching, betraying me right in front of the world. I felt a surge of shame too. How could I have been so blind? Did I fail as a husband? Was I not enough? My mind was spinning, and the more I thought, the more bitter I became. I wanted to lash out, to hurt her the way I felt hurt. I wanted to hit something, anyone, just to feel something other than this emptiness. Her tears only made it worse. She reached out, her hands shaking. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I don't know why I did it. I love you. I think I still love you." I recoiled. "Love? You call this love? 3 months? While I'm at work, while we have kids, while we have a life together?" My voice cracked. Rage and grief tangled in a knot I couldn't untie. I didn't know if I wanted to cry or scream or both. I just sat there, numb, while she sobbed beside me. I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet, like everything I had built, every memory, every promise, had been a lie. I couldn't even think about the kids. I couldn't bring myself to imagine telling them, or worse, seeing the hurt in their innocent eyes. I felt like my entire world had tilted, and there was no righting it. I forced myself to stand, shaking, and demanded the whole story. "Who is he? Where did this start? What were you thinking?" She avoided eye contact, her lips trembling. "It's just someone from work. It started as drinks then. I don't know. It just happened. I didn't mean to hurt you. I swear I didn't want to. Did you think about me? The kids? Our life?" I shouted, my voice echoing in the quiet house. "Did any of that matter?" She sobbed harder. I thought I could stop. I didn't want to hurt you. I never wanted this. Please. I love you." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to reach for her and pull her close and pretend this hadn't happened. But I couldn't. I was too furious, too broken, too humiliated. Every word she spoke felt like sandpaper against raw wounds. She tried to explain, to justify, to say it wasn't about me, but it was about me. It was about our marriage. Our family. Everything I had trusted her with. I screamed. I cried. I left the room. I needed air, space, anything that wasn't her voice. My mind raced with thoughts I couldn't control, ending it, leaving, staying, forgiving, hating. All at once. The days after the confrontation blurred together. I went to work like a ghost, pushing a mop through empty corridors while my mind replayed everything on a loop. Her smile. The kiss. The texts. I felt hollow, like someone had scooped me out and left the shell behind to keep functioning. Customers walked past me, laughing, living their lives, and I felt completely disconnected from the world. At night, I lay awake next to her, staring at the ceiling. She tried to touch me once, just resting her hand on my arm. I pulled away instinctively. The idea of her body made my stomach churn. I hated myself for it because part of me still loved her. That was the worst part. I didn't stop loving her just because she betrayed me. I kept asking myself what I did wrong. Was I boring? Too tired? Too focused on work? I replayed our marriage in my head, searching for the moment I failed her. At the same time, another voice screamed that this wasn't my fault, that betrayal was a choice. Those two voices fought constantly, and I was stuck in the middle, exhausted. I felt humiliated. Everyone at the mall suddenly looked suspicious to me. Did they know? Had anyone seen them before I did? The thought that I might have been the clueless husband everyone pitied made my chest tighten. I started avoiding mirrors because I didn't recognize the man staring back. Things at home became tense and fragile. We barely spoke unless it was about the kids. She tried to act normal, cooking, cleaning, asking about my day, but it felt forced, like we were actors playing a couple instead of actually being one. The kids sensed it. They always do. They asked why Mom and Dad didn't laugh together anymore, why I slept on the couch sometimes. I lied to them. I hated myself for lying, but I hated the truth even more. I started having panic attacks at work. My hands would shake, my heart racing out of nowhere. Once, I had to lock myself in a restroom stall and sit on the floor until it passed. I'd never felt that kind of fear before. It scared me how broken I was becoming. She said she cut contact with him. Swore it was over. Begged for another chance. I nodded sometimes, said nothing other times. Trust, once shattered, doesn't magically reassemble. Every late notification, every glance at her phone reopened the wound. Our marriage didn't explode all at once. It cracked slowly, painfully, day by day. Weeks turned into months, but nothing felt normal again. Every small thing reminded me of what happened. A laugh from a coworker, a glance from a stranger, even a song on the radio, it all made my chest tighten. I became hyper-aware, suspicious of everything, second-guessing every word she said. I hated that I couldn't trust her, but more than that, I hated that I used to. We tried therapy for a while. I thought it might help. The first few sessions were excruciating. I sat there, listening to her talk about feelings she claimed she didn't understand at the time, while I wanted to scream that words weren't enough. She cried, I cried, and the therapist tried to mediate. I left most sessions numb, thinking about the mall, the kiss, the texts. Friends and family started noticing the tension. My parents asked if everything was okay. I lied. Sarah's friends texted her, asking why she seemed distant. I don't know what she said to them. I didn't want to know. Even the kids became a source of guilt. I wanted to shield them from the fallout, but every time I hugged them, I wondered if my anger and sadness showed in ways they could feel. I started avoiding holding them too long. It hurt me to think that my betrayal trauma could ripple down to them, even indirectly. It was exhausting. Emotionally, physically, mentally. I began losing myself in work, cleaning floors, mopping empty corridors, anything to distract from the chaos at home. But no matter how far I ran, the images of her with him stayed with me. Then came the pressure from outside. A coworker at the mall, someone I trusted, accidentally mentioned seeing Sarah with a guy she seemed really close to months ago. Panic, embarrassment, anger, they all hit at once. Not only did I feel betrayed by her, but I also felt humiliated that the secret wasn't mine to hold alone. Everyone else might have known. I started avoiding the mall, avoiding public places. I didn't want to see anyone, didn't want anyone to see me broken. I felt exposed in ways I couldn't control. It was like walking through a storm with no shelter. Sarah became defensive whenever I questioned her. Every apology was met with, "I've told you it's over," or, "I'm trying, can't you see that?" But I couldn't see anything but the betrayal. I wanted to forgive, I wanted to rebuild, but trust doesn't return on command. I noticed subtle lies creeping back in, small omissions that made me question everything all over again. And I realized the hardest truth: even if she stopped seeing him, even if the affair ended, the marriage I thought we had might never exist again. By this point, I barely recognized myself. I'd lost weight, sleep, appetite. I caught myself staring at walls for hours, thinking about what she'd done, replaying every detail. Every memory of our marriage felt tainted. The little things I used to love, her laughter, our weekend mornings, even her smile, were now triggers for pain. I started questioning everything about myself. Was I not enough? Was I too boring, too predictable, too ordinary? I hated that I was blaming myself, but it was easier than facing the truth: she had chosen someone else. I wanted to scream at the world, cry in private, hit something, anything. Instead, I bottled it up. I couldn't let the kids see me unraveling. I couldn't risk looking weak in front of her. I felt trapped inside my own body, imprisoned by anger, grief, and heartbreak. The hardest moments were when she tried to reconnect, small touches, innocent conversations. Every time she reached out, a part of me still wanted to respond, to forgive, to pretend it never happened. And every time I did, another part of me recoiled, reminding me that nothing could erase 3 months of betrayal. I started journaling secretly, scribbling out my anger, my confusion, my despair. It was the only way I could process the chaos without exploding. But even then, the words felt inadequate. Nothing could capture the depth of the hole she left in my chest. Eventually, we reached a point where the marriage couldn't sustain itself without drastic decisions. Therapy sessions became arguments about whether we should stay together or apart. I couldn't make sense of love and betrayal at the same time. I realized loving her didn't mean I had to ignore what she'd done. I told her we needed a separation. She cried, begged, promised, but I couldn't risk being broken like this while she lived next to me, pretending everything was fine. I needed space, clarity, to understand if forgiveness was even possible. The house became divided, she in one room, me in another. Conversations were short, polite at best, tense at worst. Every interaction reminded me of the trust that was gone. The kids sensed the distance, but I tried to shield them from the truth. I felt guilt too, guilt for leaving, for not immediately forgiving, for putting my pain above hers. But I realized that if I stayed in constant agony, resentment would eventually poison everything, including my children. The separation wasn't clean, and it wasn't easy. We lived in the same house, shared the kids, and yet the distance between us felt like an ocean. Meals were quiet. Laughter disappeared. Even watching TV together felt awkward. Every glance reminded me of what she'd done. Some days I wanted to rage, to confront her again, to force an apology that would never feel enough. Other days, I cried silently in the shower, hating that I still loved her even after everything. I caught myself imagining a life where none of this had happened, where she was mine completely, and it felt like a cruel joke that those days were gone forever. The kids adapted faster than I expected. They didn't know the full story, and thankfully so, but they noticed the tension. Their questions were innocent, but every answer I gave felt like a compromise between honesty and protection. I hated lying, but I hated hurting them more. Even work became a refuge and a punishment at the same time. Cleaning the same floors, watching strangers live ordinary, happy lives, made me painfully aware of what I'd lost. Every time I passed the mall where I first saw them, a knot of rage and grief formed in my chest. I couldn't escape it, and yet I had to keep going. Months passed, but the wound never fully healed. We tried co-parenting, tried talking without fighting, tried pretending the marriage wasn't fractured. But the betrayal hung over us like a shadow, unshakable. I realized that some things can't be fixed, only managed. I sometimes see her looking at me, maybe hoping for forgiveness, maybe wanting the past to disappear. I want to give it, and I want to forget, but I can't. Trust, once broken, leaves permanent scars. I love her, but I'm no longer the same person who loved her blindly. That man is gone, replaced by someone quieter, more cautious, more fearful of letting anyone in completely again. I think about the future constantly, whether reconciliation is possible, whether I'll ever fully heal, whether I can trust again. I don't have answers. What I do have is a deep understanding of how fragile love can be, how easily it can be shattered, and how much courage it takes to pick up the pieces. The kids still need both of us, and I fight to be present, even when my heart aches. Every day is a reminder that life moves on, even when you're broken. And maybe that's the cruelest lesson of all. The world keeps turning while you're stuck staring at what's been lost. Looking back, I don't know if I'll ever fully make sense of it. I replay the events over and over, the kiss at the mall, the texts, the confrontation, and sometimes I still feel that sharp, hollow pain in my chest. I thought I knew love, thought I knew trust, and then I learned how fragile it really is. I've learned that betrayal doesn't just hurt in the moment. It seeps into every corner of your life, your self-esteem, your relationships, your sense of safety. Even now, years later, I catch myself hesitating to trust fully, even with friends or coworkers. It's a residue that lingers long after apologies are made, long after promises are given. I don't hate her. I don't even fully resent her. I grieve the marriage we could have had, the life we could have shared, and the man I used to be before all this happened. But I've also grown stronger in ways I didn't expect. I've learned that pain can teach you resilience, that survival doesn't always mean thriving. It can mean simply showing up every day, even when your heart is heavy. I don't know if we'll ever reconcile. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. What I do know is that I'll never ignore my instincts again, never let comfort blind me, and never assume trust is unbreakable. And to anyone reading this who's been betrayed, it hurts more than words can describe, but it doesn't have to destroy you completely. It changes you, yes, but it can also teach you what really matters, what you can endure, and how to keep going even when the world feels unbearably unfair. Sometimes, in quiet moments, I let myself remember the good things too, the laughter, the small joys, the moments when love felt unbreakable. It hurts, yes. But it also reminds me that I am still capable of loving, still capable of hope, even after everything. And that's something no betrayal can ever take away completely.